There's an independent journalist, I think he's independent, named Christian Hartsock, who just published on the same day or the same week, just published his own investigation into hospice fraud in California. And let's see that here.
Printed sign closed for lunch. We will return shortly. It seems to be a pretty permanent looking, it's not just a sticky note. It does not seem like a temporary tag you just put on a door to say out to lunch. It says out to lunch. Okay. Well, I take it that they are still out to lunch. Maybe they're all out to lunch together. Great Life Hospice, okay. Is it a whole lunch outing amongst healthcare competitors? Hi.
No, this is not hospice. I don't.
This is not hospice? Okay, well, what kind of health do you provide here?
I'm sorry, you can't come.
But it says 9 to 5. Hello? It's open, so let's go in. I'm documenting this for my grandma because I'm trying to enroll her in healthcare. Oh, I'm not soliciting. I'm so convenient. Every possible healthcare need you could possibly need all in one building on one floor. Hi, could you help me with something? I'm trying so hard to get her some healthcare and no one will talk to me in this building.
I don't.
In one of the buildings was an auto body repair shop. Now, I'd never seen an auto body repair shop on the second floor of an office building, so I decided to knock on the door and see what they thought of the dozens of hospice offices surrounding theirs. But when I started asking the guy questions, it escalated pretty quickly.
Why are you taking picture? Why are you asking some questions?
Because I'm curious what's going on. There's so many healthcare offices here and hospice offices.
Did you see any healthcare offices?
Yes, yeah, I see dozens. Have I done anything illegal?
No, hold on. Here we are.
911 for the city of Los Angeles.
I don't know who you are.
You're calling. You're calling the police.
Yes.
So
Okay, so he calls the cops, and we don't know if the people in these videos are guilty of fraud or not. But this guy was looking into the same thing as the CBS reporter, and the one thing about hospice is that you could have a hospice. In many cases, it's in-home hospice care, and so in a vacuum, in and of itself, there's nothing unusual necessarily, I would think, about having a hospice office in an office building, and then the care providers go into the home if it's an in-home hospice care situation. But to have all of these, to have this sudden explosion of hospice care in this one area, and to have buildings where you've got dozens of hospice offices, and then you go and try to talk to them and they're all out to lunch at the same time. So we all get an idea of what's going on here. And the other thing you notice in that video, and look, I hate to be that guy. I hate that I have to be the one to bring this up. I don't really hate it. I don't care. But with one exception, it appears that all the people in the video that we just played are foreigners. And if you go and you just Google for cases of hospice fraud in California, actual arrests have been made, not many, but they've done some symbolic arrests over the last couple of years, so they can pretend that they're actually doing something about this problem. But if you go, as I did, you just Google for press releases and click on the first couple you see stuff like this. So this is the DOJ press release. This is last year. 4 California residents were sentenced to prison for their roles in defrauding Medicare for nearly $16 million through sham hospice companies and laundering the fraudulent proceeds. Yesterday, Juan Carlos Esparza of Valley Village was sentenced to 57 months in prison. Susanna Harut Yanyan of Winnetka was sentenced to 15 months. Karpis Srapyan of Winnetka was sentenced to 57 months. Mihran Panasyan was sentenced to 57 months. And then Petros Fikadzyan of Granada Hills was sentenced to 12 years in prison. So those are the people that were arrested. Just good old-fashioned American names. Good old-fashioned, good old-fashioned. You got your Bob Smith, your Mike, Johnson, and then you've got Juan Carlos Esparza. And then California Attorney General last month put out this press release. On January 30th, 2026, filed felony charges in Monterey County against Nympha Molina, Luis Artavia, Mark Samante, Shomir Banerjee, Danny Ludovico, Flor Mara, and Christine Nugyud Yem. Might be a couple of Americans in there. I don't know. But the point is, the second that I heard this story and just randomly Googled the names of some recent arrests, I expected that it would just be a bunch of foreign names. And what do you know? What do you know? It seems that's the case. And that's the part of this story that the corporate media is not going to acknowledge or investigate. Fraud is really bad in this country. It's obviously getting worse, and it's getting worse in large part, not exclusively, but in large part because we're importing people from all over the world, especially the third world. And it's not that Americans don't commit fraud. Of course, Americans are capable of committing fraud. They're capable of committing any crime that anyone else commits. But we're bringing in people from parts of the world where fraud is a way of life. Fraud is part of the culture. And that's the case anywhere in the third world. This is the way it works in any third world country, anywhere on the globe. People will try to rip you off and steal from you just as kind of a matter of course. You know, I'll never forget being in Kenya, driving out to the bush to visit the Maasai tribe. And first of all, on the way out of town, we were warned to keep your windows up as you're driving because, and the security team was very clear, keep your windows up because if you have the windows down, you're going to have mobs of people will just casually come in and they'll reach in and try to steal whatever they can get, your phone, whatever they can. And then we stop at a little roadside shop where they sell souvenirs and trinkets and stuff like that. And you have to haggle with these guys who will look you dead in the eye and try to rip you off to an absurd degree. I mean, like you want to buy a mug and they want you to pay $90 American for it, right? You want to get a mug and a souvenir lighter, and they're like, that's $157. Just insane stuff like that. And this happens everywhere. It's how everybody operates everywhere in the third world. It's just the way it goes. It's a way of life. Theft and stealing and fraud is a way of life. Which, by the way, it's easy to conclude, well, you know, they're behaving that way because they're in the third world and they're poor. But it's more accurate to say that they're in the third world and they're poor because they behave that way. That's the chicken and egg situation. They have a low trust culture. They have a culture of theft and fraud. And it means that they will never advance. They'll never prosper. And then we import them here, and what do you end up with? You end up with fraud on a massive scale.